Parry Talks. Welcome back once again. Thanks for listening, guys. It's been a long time. This is episode 30. 30 episodes every year. That's a pretty good effort in my books. I'm with a very, very grateful interview, I think. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm a big fan of this human being and just a big fan of everything sort of this project stands for, and just, yeah, super grateful to be given an interview opportunity like this and just open the curtains behind, I wouldn't say a secretive sort of artist, but definitely an artist that doesn't get his story told as much as he should. I've got the one and only Hearteyes on. How you doing, dude?
Let's go. ASMR shit. Thanks for having me, Parry.
No worries, man. Are you just going to ASMR the whole interview?
Huh?
Do you want to ASMR the whole interview?
Yeah, I can do that. I watch that shit all the time, so like I'm like really good at like.
Really? No, the settings aren't good enough though. On the like, I haven't, like, I could turn the gain all the way up.
Yeah.
But
that's alright. We'll keep it chill for this one.
ASMR is pretty therapeutic though, isn't it? Like listening to it.
Yeah, I stopped listening to music for ages now. You listen to ASMR, 100%. Like I didn't like when I have like these stints of like songwriting where I'm like doing heaps of shit for like different projects. I never listen to music because I get distracted and I always like change course. I never get focused. So if I want to listen to something, like when I'm in my room, just chuck on ASMR. Hectic. Or like there's these like ambient like role play videos that people have, like not ASMR though, it's like 1 hour in a pirate ship.
Oh, like, yeah, I know the exact one.
It's like the rain and the shit in the background.
There's this website, oh my god, I'm shooting myself in the foot not knowing it, but there's this one preset that's like Japanese garden.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like if I need to get some work done, just throw the Japanese garden.
I love it. How sad is that? That's like such a, I feel like that's such like a matter of fact, like part of the life that we live in now with COVID. It's like we can't experience the outdoors or nature or all this stuff, so we have to like simulate and role play on YouTube.
But I think it's more a testament to like general youth being so so anxious in silence.
Totally.
And like the idea of working without either like a down tempo, like a dubby record on, which isn't too distracting. Yeah. Or like Japanese yen garden in the background, or something in between, like ocean waves crashing. Yeah. Gives me like, irks me a little bit. Like I don't think I could. Like it's something just having that, you know, like a Freedom Jackson record on, just like
facts.
Completely. Yeah. Just eliminates all sort of
100%
anxiety. Yeah. It's crazy. Shit. King of tangents.
I know. I said that. I said I was the king of tangents before we started. So
and here we are.
There's always going to be a fork in the road. Every statement or question that you ask, there's always going to be a fork in the road. No, it's a pick your own adventure when you interview me.
This is the thing. Alright, I usually ask this question at the end, but we'll start now because you're into a lot of stuff other than music and like music creation and stuff. You're proper nerd about, as in like in terms of the music world. What would you have a podcast on if you started your own podcast? Being like, you know what? If I had a podcast,
shitting on fools.
Shitting on fools?
Just shitting on people. No theme, just get on weekly and just be like, look at this every week. Like, look at what this guy's done. What a dickhead. That's what I'd do if I had a podcast. I love people though, like, but I feel like even myself, like, you know, we have our moments of weakness and we need to have a laugh at ourselves about that stuff. So, you know, taking the piss out of someone's always really easy to do. I can take the piss out of myself a lot quite easily, and I can take it as well when people take the piss out of me. So I feel like I have a podcast where I just have like a weekly wrap up of just being like Donkey of the Day on the Breakfast Club. You know what I mean?
That's massive, yeah.
That, or I do like one on like magic tricks or some shit.
That's mad.
I love magic, bro.
Dude.
Or astrology. I'm a huge astrology fucking nerd. I've been before it came more trendy, like since I was like fucking 13 years old, I've been super into like mysticism and fucking like the spirit world and like astrology and shit. So I'd probably do an astrology podcast.
That's a good one. That's like, I reckon you get to like, don't make podcasts on underground acts and DJs and like a couple indie artists. Don't do that shit. Like we need sponsorships. We need all that stuff. So like astrology is where it is.
Co-star, hit me up. Let's go.
What star sign are you?
What do you think I am?
I've got no. I only know that
let's go.
The only thing I know about star signs is that I'm a Gemini, and apparently I'm a generic Gemini, whatever that.
I can tell you're a Gemini because you're like a journalist. You're an inquisitive, curious person.
Yeah,
you know. But you've got this air about you where like you're very conversational. You're not very like rigid by the book. You know.
I hate that.
Yeah. Well, I think most journalists are Geminis. You know, the pursuit of why and how.
The pursuit of why.
Yeah. But I'm a Libra.
What does that mean?
I look fucking good, and I look good doing it too. You know, I'm a Libra, so like, life of the party.
Do Libras rub people the wrong way?
Nah, everyone loves us. You can't fault us. We gas everybody up. Everybody. I don't care.
Donkey of the day though.
I gas everyone up.
Except when you're the donkey of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Except if you're the donkey of the day. But it's all endearing. It comes from a good place.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I always find the positives, like the silver lining in anything negative. And then I'm a Gemini moon. So in here, shit gets dark. It gets dark, bro. Battling with my own demons.
Wait, can you... Fuck, I don't even know if we should go into this. What does it mean to be like? What's the rising and stuff? I always hear the rising.
I'm going to keep it like real brief because this is not going to be an astrology podcast. But your rising is the face that you show the world. Okay, so it's like the first impression that you give people.
Oh, okay.
Your moon is how you act in private to yourself internally, like emotionally and mentally. And your sun is just like your ego. It's like everything about your personality, I guess.
That makes a lot of sense.
Very succinct way of putting it.
And they're pretty good metaphors for it as well, like the sun, you know.
Exactly. But I'm always shining, bro. Libra, you know the vibes.
Bruh. Hearteyes. You've evolved a lot of times before you got into Hearteyes and making Hearteyes music because the project is still really new to the public's eyes.
Yeah.
And you've just about done it all, you know, been through the dance world, been through the punk world. What do you think made 2020 the right time for Hearteyes to start? Or what do you think you learned over the years that sort of was like, I can sort of do Hearteyes now?
Trial and error, a lot of it. Just like embracing production and like being a holistic musician as opposed to being a member of a band. Because when you're a member of a band, you don't really get much say in a lot of the production side or the mixing side of your record. I guess that mainly comes from the fact that when you give yourself the position of being the member of the band, you kind of just don't think about the back end stuff, like the production. You just like make my guitar loud or make the drums massive. And like that was me the whole time. Like when I'd been in bands since I was like 15, I was just like, I just wanted to sound loud as fuck, you know? And then I guess like when you grow up and you get into different genres of music, you understand that you can't rely on a producer or an engineer to make that music for you, specifically dance music or electronic music. Like you're the producer, you got to learn to do it yourself. And I think getting into that's what like made me embrace production and everything in the back end and like all the nerdy shit like mastering and stuff like that. So I didn't really start like doing my own productions until about probably 2015 is when I started George Michelle and doing dance music as an aside from the bands I was in. And I picked up Ableton in 2015 and I'm still learning to this day. It's, you know, there's so much stuff to do on that, you know, workstation. And going back to what you said of like why 2020 was the year, is just because I've been through so many different styles of music, of experimentation, that like I wanted to see what I enjoyed the most, and I felt like Hearteyes was the complete like version of me and who I want to be seen as a producer and as an artist. You know, can just do whatever I want. No one can tell me if it's right or wrong or if it's not suited to my brand or anything like that. Like I do whatever the fuck I want.
It's,
you know,
it feels holistic.
And that's a point that you reach, I feel like, as a musician. Like you start in bands or like in one project and you're like, I want to be a career musician, be super successful off this. But then over time you just like, I just want to do something for myself, you know, and like learn. And that's what Hearteyes was. It was just basically just like I had these tens, hundreds of songs sitting on my computer for years that I didn't want to sit in there. Like I don't care who listens to it. I just want to put them out because that, to me, that's like releasing and moving on to the next chapter of something.
Big time.
So that's why.
I reflect a lot on that as well. almost like super similarly, where it's like I could have so easily just like been a journalist, been a really good journalist, got really good at journalism, you know, written for a good editorial, got printed in a magazine, and just like kicked back. But like there's something way more rewarding about like just having control and ownership
100%.
over.
You need to challenge yourself as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Starting from scratch again is so incredible.
Exactly. Like, I feel in life, like in whatever career you have, there is this set trajectory of the steps that you need to take, of being like, you need to start from the ground up. Like, you need to work your way in as an intern, then you go into, you know, the shit kicking assistant grabbing coffees, and then you slowly work your way up. But then like I used to be in a role like that. I used to work in journalism, and I had to do that. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I'm so miserable. And by the time I'm 30, like, not even a fucking nice place and a secure life is gonna make this any rewarding. Like, I'm gonna feel fucking miserable. So I quit my job and fucking went to America. And you know, I feel like in this day and age, you can make money and a living off pretty much anything. If you're really certain that's what you want to do, you can make it happen. Like, and fuck, shit hasn't even been invented yet that like is going to change the world. So like anything can happen. So I'm not like trying to just be like, I'm gonna do this and like, you know, I'm just gonna have fun.
Yeah, and that wasn't a dig at purple sneakers, by the way, what I said, because I like, that is my baby. That is the best thing ever. We love you, purple sneakers.
Thank you. You always show support.
Exactly. They're the best. We're the best, I should say.
But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. There's like, but then you get to a point as well. I think an interesting point is in creative industries, people think like, oh, I'm going to be in a creative industry. That's me breaking the mold. But then people follow the exact same trajectory. Like, there's that trajectory of like, you got to do this to do that, and you just got to eat shit for a bit and then do that. And then like a job's a job at the end of the day. 100%. And like, even though people are like, oh, I'm going to work in the music industry, like I'm doing my own thing. But it's at the same time, it's like you're in the same cycle. You're still ticking the same boxes that you wouldn't anywhere else. Like, it's,
I feel like you just
the silver tinted glasses.
People just need to have purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have purpose in everything that you do, whether it's like, if you're passionate about like the 9 to 5 that you work, then that's still your purpose, and that's great. Like, everyone needs something to live for. It's like, if you're a musician and you love making music, like that's your purpose, to make music by any means necessary. So you work any job, courier, you know, dishwashing, anything like that to make that happen. Because that's what gets you up in the morning and keeps you ticking on, especially in times right now where things are so futile and unpredictable. We need to hold on to something, and like, I think a lot of that comes from the excitement of knowing like what could be possible, and being like, what if I take this risk today of like really challenging myself and like going off and starting my own business, you know, whether it's clothes or selling shit online or even music. And it's like, what possibly could that bring me in my life? Like, and it's, at the end of the day, it should be rewarding to you personally. That's why you should be doing it, not to make money. At
the same time as well, it's like, and you said it as well, like your purpose can come from something that's traditional. Like, I'm weird, like I love education, I love learning, and like I'm doing a pretty standard uni degree as well, that like a lot of people, but like just doing that, like having that as well is like so rewarding to me. Like,
fully.
And like, so it can come from anything really. Like, it doesn't have to be something etch or edgy. Like, it can come from something traditional, and your purpose can come from something traditional. As long as you're like self-aware and being like, this is actually something that I froth.
100%.
Wow. Hearteyes, hey?
Getting deep. I got a Gemini moon, bro. I got a lot to say.
I think there's a cool point as well, just to bring it sort of back on track. I read this other interview you did where you talk about how you sort of came from punk worlds and dance worlds, and how sort of, even though they were sort of separate worlds and genre-wise, or sonically, they're quite different, you could argue. Like, the kids were the same, and like the people hanging out were the same. And I think I agree in that as well. Like, genre should almost more be defined by its intent, or like it's like how it affects communities and that sort of thing. So what do you think was so, you know, in the Venn diagram of like underground dance and like underground punk, what do you think was like the middle of that Venn diagram? What do you think collated the two so much?
Age.
Yeah.
I think it's context. Like, it's your age. You get to a certain point where like you're mature enough to know that listening to a certain artist isn't a guilty pleasure. You're just old and you don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I remember when I was like 15, super into hardcore and punk, I'd never listen to electronic music, or like rarely would. Like, I'd listen to some, but not a lot. But I'd be like, I'm a hardcore kid, listen to hardcore only. And like, you study that genre and you go from the very start of it to what's happening right now in different parts of the world, and you learn everything. And that's your thing in high school anyway, because when you're young, you're impressionable. You go into your different herds, your communities, and you find your people there. So when I was 15, I was like, I want to be with the hardcore people. They're the ones that understand me. We're into the same things. We can talk about the same stuff. And you didn't mix with like the kids that were into dance music or like pop music or even really metal. Like metal kids like were their own sort of like cohort where I was from anyway. But when I got to like probably like 17, that's when I was just like, I don't really care anymore. You know, so when I started getting into like a lot of like Soundcloud, actually, like that's when like Lil B and like Young Lean were coming out, and Lil Ugly Mane I think was starting around then, and they just had this energy. Like I could sense it from the start, like all hip hop, but there was just this rawness to it. And I had an affinity towards that because it was very much like how we would make music, of like making the loudest music possible or the most energetic music by any means necessary. And you can hear that in Lil Ugly Mane's music. You can hear that in Young Lean's music, his early music. So then from there, I was just like being more older and like feeling like you're more mature. Like you feel like you need to mature your musical palette and like branch out. And so that's when I started to get really nerdy into like music. Used to go on like Last FM, if you remember that website, and like dig and make sure my scrobbles were all like good and that my top artists were like all perfect. And then when I moved to Sydney, and we've been in like 2013, that's when I started getting into like dance music, because obviously I could go out and there was more happening here. I'm from Wollongong, so like we never had fucking any dance music. But it was still like, I remember the first shit I was listening to was like stuff from Lies and Trilogy tapes and Bank and stuff like that, because I could tell, much like the Young Lean SoundCloud stuff, like that was also coming from like a DIY punk sort of like energy. Like it was super raw, just different instruments, different ways of songwriting.
So awesome. There's so much just like, and like they're so cultish, and we'll talk about Sydney dance is so cultish. Or not just general, I think underground dance music is so cultish. I think all cultures are cultish. Like, you know, it's really hard to find your niche. But then like when you do find it, it's hard to exist in it, because people are so like, they're not gatekeeping, they just like, they have their artists that exist now, and they don't want anyone else to come in and like it's like, it's down to the market, it's down to like that group of people that are gonna dictate whether you're gonna thrive or whether you're gonna fail in that niche. So a lot of it is like networking and like just not coming across like a fucking like a crab, like not just coming in trying to be like, hey, like I make music exactly like you, like let me in. You know, like, you know, that Eric Andre meme where he's like, you know, he says like, come, let me in. It's like, no, you got to like pay your dues in a way. Like you got to support the other artists first. You got to be engaged in the discourse and shit, you know, and then you can be like, hey, I also make music, you know. By the way. Yeah. It's like everything. That was like punk and hardcore when I was like 15. Still the same with like a lot of SoundCloud rap and, you know, shit like all the new like hyperpop digital bubblegum music that's happening. That's very, very much like that. They're very core, crazy fan bases of people that are very reluctant to let like anything else come in. I think it's, and I think just talking to myself, I think I sort of learnt about you first through obviously the dance stuff, and knew about the dance stuff, and obviously through the fashion world as well. Like the first time I actually saw the hearteyes rock album cover was because my mate sent me it and being like, Elliot from like your favorite band Pelvis did the artwork. Like you should just like listen to it. So I sort of came in from the dance world, and I wouldn't normally listen to something that you'd consider like an alt pop or anything like that. But based on like I'm just like a hardcore hip hop listener and a hardcore dance music listener, but sort of having like an accessibility to it, being like, you know, like who this person is and you know what they represent, and also like there's artwork by this person, like they're ingrained in your culture, so like just give it a try. And it sort of blew my mind open.
Yeah.
But that's like that's just like a testament to me being a bit of a knob, being like, oh, I wouldn't normally listen to something like this, but because, you know, it's got a couple ticks, it's got a couple boxes ticks, I'm going to give it a go, and then ended up really liking it. Yeah. So like, yeah, I think that breaking that, and you say that a lot in underground dance, because that's just what I know, so I'm going to talk about it, is, say for instance, you're at a hardcore warehouse party or like community chess, say, and someone plays a Calvin Harris song, everyone froths it. Yeah. But like there's so much irony in like, oh, like we only play songs that have less than 1,000 streams on Spotify. Yeah. But then like the roots of those songs are from like the biggest pop songs in the world. There's so much like
I feel like there's a lot of like probably in the past since like 2016, I feel like there's been a huge research, like not even it's never existed before. I feel like there's just like so much irony in dance music. Like, you know, when you look at all like DJ Seinfeld, fucking like Ross from Friends, DJ Adidas, and like everyone. What an era of lo-fi, you know, like all that came from lo-fi, and then they became super successful. But it's like all that came from like, I feel like irony. Like it was, you know, all the Russian donk shit people used to put up and all the like jungle shit. It's like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of irony that existed in dance music for a long period of time, and a lot of those artists have now graduated into being like fully fledged like festival players. You know, like Ross and Friends,
like Seinfeld,
massive, and Seinfeld as
plays trance records, like
and
look at DJ Boring.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, and like good for them. Like they've made a career out of it. But I feel like a lot of that stuff came from like the irony and like maybe the cheekiness. I think there was like a lot of cheekiness of being like, oh, I'm gonna like have this like weird pseudonym and make, you know, like lo-fi house or jungle or like whatever, and it just became a beast that I don't think a lot of people can handle because it just exploded. Like it may have started as this like little community thing, but ended up exploding. But going back to what you're saying about how when people drop like Calvin Harris or like some blog house shit like Simian Mobile Disco or like Boys Noise or like that Swedish sort of shit, like but it works in context. I feel like it's cool. Like we come from an era where like we were kind of kids and couldn't experience clubbing when that shit was popping. So I feel like some people would listen to it as a guilty pleasure. So when you throw it in the set, like that's just like, I think what makes a really good DJ is when you throw those like left field like selects out of nowhere. Like you just drop like, you know, something from Calvin Harris's first album or like Swedish House Mafia. Like you're gonna get people dancing, and it's fun. Like that's what it's supposed to be. It's like the community of everyone having a good time. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. But like, it's something to acknowledge that like that exists, like the irony of it. But I think, you know, we can all have have a laugh at it. Like it's, and like
that's, I credit DJ Boring so much because he's the king of just like being like, let's bring the chin strokers in and let's expose them. Yeah. Like he always plays like Love Generation. Like
really? Bob Sinclair.
Yeah, and
Bob Sinclair's hard.
What's the other Bob Sinclair song that's huge? World Hold On.
That song's hard. That's hard.
Massive. Yeah, he closed pitch with it.
That's sick.
And he also plays Miami to Ibiza, the instrumental.
I always think about like when artists do that, of how like perhaps they genuinely like the song, and like now that they have a platform, it's their way of desensitizing people to the naffness of it.
I think it's that as well.
You know,
because I think these DJs are pretty smart.
Yeah, and
especially the ones that have earned their stripes, come through the ranks, seen it all, and then being like, this is actually great music. Like let's change this entire perception of like this culture. I think it's so cool.
And also like a lot of the artists that you'd consider naff or like, you know, pop dance or whatever, a lot of them like they've earned their stripes. Exactly. Like Bob Sinclair, like fucking OG in dance music, you know, he's made bangers, and it's like, I think it's probably a way of tipping the hat from these DJs of being like, we're gonna play this naff song that everyone knows, but we're doing it because we believe that this
Yeah.
DJ producer is awesome and you need to go check the back catalogue and you'll actually hear stuff that is actually super sick, you know?
That's right. If anyone, we've had this conversation already on Parry Talks, but if you listen to the instrumental version of Miami to Ibiza, it'll change your life.
Oh, really?
It'll change your life.
Song's hard anyway. Swedish House Mafia, you know, one of my top artists of like producers of all time is Avicii.
Go.
His fucking melodies... No one,
unmatched.
Everyone pales in comparison to him. Like, I was so devo when he died, man. He wasn't even a guilty pleasure. Every single song he's ever done, banger after banger. Like, and you can't dispute that. And like, even his posthumous stuff, like the stuff that he was sitting on, bangers. Like that SOS song with Aloe Black, crazy.
It's just some people just know.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I feel like all dance music is sick in the appropriate context, and that's the beauty of what makes a good and a bad DJ. They can make shit work. Like Bubba Stilts, crazy producer, amazing producer. But like when he DJs, he'll play tech house and shit and like mix it with, you know, more like Balearic sort of shit, or, you know. And I think that's great and it works and it makes sense. And the crowd froths it.
Yeah, we saw Bubba Stilts at Civic.
I was there.
Oh my god, just like
sick. It was amazing.
The lineup was crazy as well. It was the Pelvis Boys.
Yeah.
Then him, then Lexi as well, our good friend.
Lex was playing. Yeah.
And like, just the night blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
But then same thing, draws them in with like the craziest production, like everything, like almost alternate music.
Yeah.
And then just like enjoy.
That's the beauty of being a dance producer and a DJ, I think. It's like you can, once you get your name out there, like you can do whatever you want and people will froth it, you know? And that's complete creative expression. Like that's the goal for most musicians. But it can be very hard, especially in this day and age, to do that and cut through the noise because there's so many people doing it, you know? And it's like, well, who does it the best? And it's one of those things, like we're out of gimmicks, I think.
Big time.
Like the gimmick years ago was the irony of things like DJ Seinfeld and like, you know, all the jungle revival stuff. Like, I think all that shit's been gone. Like, those artists have matured into being fully fledged like electronic producers. Yeah. It's like, I think we're out of gimmicks now, and I don't know what's gonna come next.
I think that I don't want to talk.
Hopefully it's donk, because George Michelle will come back and I will fucking kill the shit I got. The donk shit I got is crazy. No one has bases like me, but I'll keep that on the low. I'm not gonna talk too much.
I feel like
that.
A lot of 90s stuff is big now.
Yeah.
Just a rave.
I really wish I want like new disco and like Bloghouse shit to come back. Like,
that'd be.
I want like early Boys Noise shit and like Simian Mobile Disco. I'd love for that whole.
Even like remember like OG back. Oliver Heldens and stuff.
It's fire. What
was that song called? Gecko or something?
Or like I love all that like super.
Remember like OG like that was like deep house, like Charmy and all those guys.
Yeah.
All those French like.
Yeah. All those, what is it, spinning records?
Yeah.
Spinning records is fucking sick. You know, I love all that stuff.
Hearteyes, eh?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Name the album Rock Album.
Yeah.
I think, which says a lot about your idea of the genre, what a genre is. Especially now, and we sort of touched on it, in a digital age when everything is so accessible, its tastes are nowhere near as like defined and clear as they used to be when like you'd stick within a genre because one, it was cheaper to stick within a genre because you're not like taking as many risks musically because you have to buy a $20 CD and all that sort of thing. And boxing modern music and like internet music is the best way I sort of call it, is so difficult because it spans absolutely everything, and so does Rock Album. What do you think the future of genres is? Is it just something for like a journalist or a record label to do sort of just for marketing purposes? Is there a purpose for like calling something a genre?
I feel like we're always going to need some type of like cataloging system to be able to, at the root of everything, be able to define something by. Yeah. But I feel like going forward in the future, genre is going to be a product of culture. It already is, but it's going to be even more so. this day and age, people fall in love with the personality of an artist before they fall in love with the music and the brand and the image and identity that they have. So I feel like whatever that they purport or whatever they, you know, show and, you know, talk about, I feel like that dictates the genre. Like, I feel like if you talk like a hard, you make hardcore music, and it's not rock, it's not rap, it's just, it's just a mix. It's a mixture of both. Like, have you ever heard of City Morgue? Like, so like, and So Smaller. It's like people want to call them rap rock, and it's like, you could, because they rap over like metal beats or trap metal, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's like, no, what they're making is a product of what they live by and what they believe in. And it's the crazy fucking shooting guns in the air in fucking New York and, you know, wearing all the chains and shit and like just being bad ratchet kids, you know what I mean? And I feel like the music that they make is reflective of, like, it's the best way of, and it's like the best way to articulate their story and what they want to talk about. Like, it's got a specific energy that's going to be able to, like, I don't know, inculcate into someone's brain.
Big time.
So I wouldn't be like, name me your favorite trap metal artist. I wouldn't be like, you know, City Morgue or something like that. I'd just be like, they're just a group that just, because I don't know, it's real. I always like think to myself about stuff like this, like, what is genre, like, you know, but I think at the end of the day, going back to what you're saying, it's really just like, I think, a back end thing for labels now, and
big time,
an easier way for
Spotify playlists
to be able to like find like the perfect pocket for playlisting. But a lot of the Spotify playlists now, it's like based on mood. So you're seeing that there's no,
exactly, it's a shift big time.
You know, like, for instance, they've got Anti-Pop, which has everything from like Young Lean to like Brockhampton, two completely different artists from two completely different genres, but it's still, because it's poppy, but it's not like conventional pop. It's pop songwriting through different means of genre experimentation. So I think everything's going to be based on like mood and culture going forward.
And why do you think rock album reflected your vision? Or calling it rock album reflected your vision for the music that it was?
Because it's not rock music. It's my idea of rock music. That was the point. Like, I do a lot of things, like, not in irony, but like in
self-awareness.
Complete self-awareness. So like, I'm going to call something a rock album because I know people, the reaction I want is people going, that's not rock music. And I'll be like, well, that's not your definition of rock music. Like, going back to what we're saying with genre, it's like, I can put a fucking heavy metal guitar in a fucking beat, and like, I can call it trap metal if I want, or I can call it emo rap, or like whatever people want to call it. People have their different definitions of what constitutes a specific type of genre module based on the instruments used.
Big time.
And it's like, everything at the end of the day is just rock. Rock was the root of every metal, of every genre that came out of it. And I'm going back to the essence of that, of being like, well, rock has birthed like indie, and it's birthed metal, and it's birthed, you know, all these different styles that I enjoy. But a lot of it was like just a fuck you of being like, no, it's not actually rock music.
And even the album artwork, we could talk, like, is sort of like, if you had to envision a sort of sound that would come from an album with that album art, I'd assume rocky, but like not, I don't know, it's the album art's so ambiguous in its way it's put together, and then rock album next to it leaves such a strong first impression without even listening to the music, so that when you listen to the music, it's like, holy shit. That's what I've always strived for. Like, I've said in interviews before that, like, I like to have the artwork and imagery completely juxtaposed to the music that I make. Like, I don't want you to judge a book by a cover. I want you to be like, fuck, like, what's this? Like, this looks like a fucking, you know, a rock record. It looks like a dance record. It looks like a rap record. I don't know. And you listen to it, and it's the complete antithesis of all those genres. That's super sick.
And that's something I strive for. You know, I want to be different in that respect. Like, it's my creative vision, because people might not think it's conventional or it's correct or it's right, but like, to me, like, I'm enjoying it. So that's the main thing. I
don't want to spoil any secrets either, but sometimes it's nice. Like, if you think about Steel City Dance Disc and think about like how they use like their artwork.
Yeah.
To like sort of tell the story of the records.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just bang on. It's like so perfect. Big shout outs. Get them on. We need Jared
Shout
on
out.
here.
Yeah, just Zoom call them. They're all together. Everyone's here. Geordie, all the boys, you know, Jackson, they're all living together in London.
Dude,
So
I did a
big
couple
Zoom
Zoom
call.
interviews. Hell. Absolute hell. It's so different.
Yeah.
It is actually ridiculous how
The lag.
different it is. Not even the lag, because the conversations, Zoom's pretty good, like
Yeah.
technology-wise. It seems pretty natural, but like we would have such a different conversation if we were on Zoom right
100%.
now.
I
Entirely
agree.
different.
Yeah.
So it was just crazy. Yeah. And to the point you made as well, even though Young Lane and Brockhampton are completely different sonically, if I had to categorize, like if I had this big spectrum of music, and I'm like, how can I categorize these and like put them under like sort of different headings? I reckon I'd almost put Young Lean and Brockhampton on the same one.
You reckon?
Based on fan base, audience, definitely. And sort of just like, I don't know, I categorize so much of that music as just internet inspired.
It is.
It's just like, it's just raw internet stuff.
Yeah.
And think about Brockhampton and how they got put together like internet and like, I don't know, it's just, if you can't define like Billie Eilish even, I'd put in that category as well.
100%.
And like,
but everything's internet music now. Like, you could say that, like...
Yeah, but I feel like some of it is definitely way more, like Clairo as well.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree. We're seeing less of this machine existing of what, like a record label and a marketing team now, because these kids are just so savvy and they just know how to use the internet and they can build careers out of it. You don't need a bunch of fucking 42-year-olds sitting at a board desk telling you like what's going to work, what's not going to work, what's the strategy. You know, like these kids are doing it, which is amazing, because it should be inspiring to young artists to be like, you can make a career out of this. The difference is, though, I will say this, is that sometimes label, I think most of the time anyway, like I think a label is necessary when you want to take the next step of
big time
longevity. So like a lot of these like younger kids, like they're just having fun and they're building careers off it, but like I don't think they're really thinking of the future. I think it's just something of like them having fun right now, which is great. But like I think some artists, once you get that level of success, need some type of like direction and help of being like, okay, you've done this, you've held these core people, how are we going to get you to a bigger audience? What do you need to change? And then that's obviously when you need to make compromises and stuff like that of, you know, you might alienate your original fan base, but the cost of that is you getting a bigger one. But it's like learning how to
big time and
keep that.
Like we could do like a whole fucking music industry tutorial if we wanted to. But I feel like sometimes artists jump into the deals before they have any negotiating power and get smashed. Or like some people hold on too long where the negotiating power is just too strong. It's like, why do I need an label now? So there's just like, there's so much grey area in terms of like, like it's case by case so much, and people will be like,
I think it's dependent on the style of music that you make as well. I feel like bands need labels.
Big time.
I feel like...
Because bands need so much more infrastructure.
Totally. There's so much more moving parts. And also, with bands, like the music industry have way more experience in building
big time
bands and like giving them longevity, as opposed to like Lil Pump. You know what I mean? Like, you look at that guy and it's like, he got an $8 million deal for like one album.
And he's just kicking it now. He's got his feet up.
And now he's just fallen off the face of the earth. And
but that might have been his goal.
That was his goal. Yeah, like that could be a goal. That's sick. But like, I feel like a lot of the labels, especially with like all these new like YouTube rappers and stuff like that, I think a lot of these labels are like out of their depth with how they can handle that. Also because of like cultural connotations of like it being black music, and you know, the socio-political aspects of like, are you exploiting these kids?
Exactly.
Are you exploiting the music? Are you, you know, using them as a springboard to get more white artists that you might think might be more palatable for
more
a certain
marketable, big time.
Marketable, to then be like, oh, let's get you rapping with them, you know? So, I don't know.
It's crazy. Where'd you record Rock album?
In my fucking bedroom.
Sick. On
a fucking 15-inch MacBook. All the keys are missing. The spacebar, no spacebar.
No spacebar.
I used the QWERTY keypad, everything.
Yeah.
But I co-produced it with Felix from Gouchy.
Yeah.
I like to call him my 5'8". He's a crazy producer. So like I...
What are you then?
Me, coach, captain, manager, front row, lock.
The Cam Smith, you're Cam Smith, mate. You can do anything you want.
100%. No, I can see myself as a fullback, like just
huge.
Run it fucking straight. I co-produced with him, so basically so he produced the beat for like Drunk on the Roof, and like the more like indie pop stuff that's on that record, like Drunk on the Roof, Spray Painted T-shirt, Felix made. I would just like, give me a Taylor Swift type beat, and he just goes hour later, bang. And he's really good at that music. I feel like we have our own strengths. Like, he's really good with guitar music and like that more wide, dynamic, angelic music. And then I just fucking snap with a 32 on it. But like when it comes to like dance and like more bass heavy music, I feel like that's what I've been around for years and what I've like really honed my skills in. So, you know, stuff like Getting Over Gut Feelings and like more the like rappy heavy stuff is what I did. But I still had Felix's like, I guess like he oversaw a lot of it. Like I'd go to him, I guess because he's not as into that music as much as I am. Yeah. It was good to have that outsider perspective being like, you'd be a good barometer for how the audience
big time
would be able to like understand this and it work from start to finish.
I think like having that second opinion, from what I've heard from like really good producers and stuff, is you can get so in your own head about it.
Yeah.
Being like, if you're like, I'm going to write every top line, make every beat, you know, perform this all by myself or whatever, it's so easy to get in your own head, and just having like a really good dummy half.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
It's so important.
Like I did the first two projects, Joyride and Headbangers, all in my room, with Apple headphones, and like no oversight from anyone else, and like no conversations. I wasn't sharing the music with anyone, and I put them out. And then I felt like for this one, I was like, I want something a bit more polished and a bit more like thought out, because I call the first two mixtapes because they were just like a mixture of everything that I had, whereas this one I wanted to be more succinct in like its flow, still kind of messing around with different genres, but have it make sense in terms of like not so much a story but an album. Exactly.
That's the way.
And then I just learned from that, like going forward, like I'm not putting out projects like that anymore. Like I had a lot to say, and I like needed to get a lot of stuff out of my system of being like I want to do this style, and I've got things to say that are going to work in these styles. But now going forward, now that I'm like, I guess like now more in the consciousness of like people in Sydney and Australia, like just building up now, like going more doing singles, and just I'm working with a producer now called Nat Sherwood, who used to do like a bunch of metal bands and shit.
Nice.
And I love working with him because he understands where I'm coming from, of being like, I come from metal as well. I want shit to sound heavy, but I don't want it to be metal. I want it to be, you know, like hip hop, hyper pop, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like he's a nice co-producer to have with me, because like he's a tertiary trained engineer and producer. Like he can make things sound fucking massive. So like now I'm just going more into like building the actual brand. I got everything out of I never was focused on building the brand, like in the past year. Because you had to get shit out. I just had to get the shit out, and now that I've got everything out of my system, I'm more focused and like more like, okay, this is the strategy now, this is the plan. And like that's now, I guess like the releasing all that stuff like allowed the opportunities to come in of like collaborating with certain artists, and I've got like certain features and stuff like that, which are like I would never have believed I could have gotten. But it's now learning. It's like, even though I've got those crazy features and I know like I can drop it like that and it'll go crazy, it's like I really need to sit on that. Like I really need to have a strategy of being like, when is the right time for me to release this song? Like, so now I'm taking on the role of an artist, not a producer, of being like, now you got to be the brand. Like, so I'm making merch and shit, and like doing like live shows on Zoom and stuff like that for certain festivals and stuff that they have online. And now just doing the single thing and doing more videos and focusing on that.
Are you obviously completely independent?
Completely independent, yeah.
Do you have a manager?
I'm in talks with a couple of management people right now.
But still, to do, like, I don't want to just like start talking about music industry shit, but to like recognize that without like a strong industry backing and taking initiative on your own, is super strong and super important, I think. So that's a big like credit.
Yeah. I knew what, like, I'd gone through the motions of label stuff and management shit before for years, and it's like I wanted to do something completely on my own, and I didn't need a manager. I was never thinking of strategy or anything like that, releasing the past projects. So it was not necessary for me to be shopping these songs around because they were more so for me, not for other people. But now that like I'm ready, like, now to do the artist thing.
Take it on.
Yeah, so now it's nice working with people. People, I think now understand, like, when the project started, people didn't get it. I think a lot of people still don't get it, but
that's the point though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point. But now I want people to start getting it, of being like, I have a sound that I have now, like, that I'm going to focus on. And like, it's nice to have management or people in the industry that have come to me and they understand it and they want to help build and take me to the next level. So like, that's nice to have. And I've was reluctant, like, to want to have anything to do with like any type of industry shit, but I feel like I'm more comfortable with myself now, and like it makes sense to do that if I want to go to the next level.
Super insightful. I think the kids are like that. I find like a lot of the audience are people that, and like, I don't want to turn into a music industry podcast because it so easily could get there, just based off my experience and like what I like having conversations with artists about. But a lot of the audience is super like industry inclined, like being like, like, oh, if I'm an artist, like, how do I go about this shit? So I'm gonna listen to this podcast, and like, that's a level of nerd that I want to try and appeal to, which is like,
that's good, because I'm one of those people, man. Like, I listen to this podcast called "And the Writer Is."
Of course.
You know, like that interviews like Charlie Puth and Charlie XCX and Julia Michaels, like all these crazy Oak Felder, like all these crazy Hollywood producers and songwriters, and talks about like how they started and like their grind and like what they had to do. So it's nice and it's insightful hearing that, because I feel like at the end of the day, like, it's reassuring to a lot of independent and young artists, like, you know, anything's possible. It does come down to you and like your strategy and like how you go about it, but like it's like anything's possible with those things. Like, it gives hope to a lot of people that kind of feel like, especially in this environment, a lot of things are futile. And
I think it's super interesting you say that, how at the start you didn't really think about brand a whole lot, you just wanted to get the music out. But like, I think that a big appeal for me as well, or someone from the outside that just was like, you know, I'm just going to check this out, the appeal for it was the brand, even really early on, because it was sort of ambiguous and was sort of cool. I mean, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is this music? What is it? Like, I think so, like, it's crazy that you say you've only sort of really think about it now, when like, it feels like,
I mean, there was a focus on like imagery. Like, I just wanted it to be weird at the end of the day. Like, I'm a fucking weird person. I'm into weird shit, and I wanted to reflect that in the weirdest way possible and have people go like, what is this? Like, I don't get it. And it's like, good. That's the point. But now it's more like, you're an artist that represents this. You know?
Let's get this in people's ears. Which is like a good thing. I feel like, especially now in today's day and age, where there's a big and we spoke about it, there's a big emphasis on like the personality, but then at the same time, it's like the artists that are like the most popular and the most like how am I forgetting the word, the most like the highest allure,
clout,
artists artists that are off the face of the earth. Like, if you look at what Kendrick's doing, what Frank's doing, what Lord's doing, they're all off the face of the earth, and they pop back up.
Like, they can drop anything.
I'm the best thing ever.
You know, Frank Ocean.
Exactly. But then like Kendrick's hype now is higher than it's ever been before, and he hasn't done a single thing. People are just waiting for a Kendrick album. I think that's super interesting. So like, I just want to get your opinion on like, what do you think about, you know, the whole pressure on like, not just from the industry, but from also consumers being like, I want to know everything about this artist I listen to. And do you feel like you're going to succumb to that? Or do you think that hiding behind, say, like, not hiding behind, but like, say, having the face makeup on, like, people not even knowing what you actually look like, sort of is like a repellent for that?
No, like, that was purely for like promo stuff. But on my gram, like, I've hidden all the posts now because I'm focused, like what I'm saying, like, I'm focused more on like this certain type of thing. But on my gram for the past year, I always used to make like stupid music production videos, like, you know, like Ryan from Pelvis does like all that like weird house. I used to make shit like that, and
past
like
guest, good friend of the show.
Used to do shout out Ryan, what's up?
Shut up, Ryan.
Shout out Ryan. I used to make like dumb videos like You know, like you'd have those like worst beat ever. It's like I used to like make videos of like me making this crazy orchestral section and be like, hey guys, this is how I make orchestra music, and then I'd play it and it's just like like bass boosted shit. So I used to do stuff like that, and like that would bring people in of being like, fuck, like, you know, this guy's like pretty funny, like entertaining, does like all sorts of different types of content. But the one thing I did not want to get grouped in, and I felt like I was getting grouped in as, is like that meme artist of being like, this guy is funny and we follow him because we want to see more funny, stupid video shit and funny photos and stuff like that. Oh, what, he makes music too? Like, that's not what I want to do. And I felt like I was slowly getting pigeonholed in that. So I had to make the compromise of being like, well, I'm not going to entertain anyone besides the music. I want to make the music as best as possible.
Big time.
And the way I promote the music as interesting as possible. So I don't need to rely on doing dumb shit and stunts and stuff like that to make people interested in my story, because that's me, like I'm a joker, but at the end of the day, like I've got feelings too, you know what I mean? Like I got a lot of shit to say, and I feel like that sort of stuff, like when you always post like jokey shit like that, it kind of undermines like the true story that you want to tell. Big time. Know?
It's crazy that Joji's done it.
Oh yeah, he's a prime example, you know.
But then I feel like, and funny thing is, when I showed my missus Hearteyes, she said, like, I just showed her Spray Pen to Tisha, and he goes, this sort of sounds like a Joji song.
Yeah, I love Joji.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, shit, there you go.
Well, thank you to your missus, because I love Joji.
Yeah. Katie.
But yeah,
Katie.
Isn't
it crazy though how he's gone from like ultimate joker to like critically acclaimed, like really serious musician. Yeah. And like no one saw, like it was a bit weird at the start, like what's going on here.
Even
but, like,
Rich Brian, like started with that, what was that song? When he was Rich Chigo or whatever, and he had his...
Oh yeah, I know the song with the bum bag. The
and, like, you know, joke rap, and now he's like a fully fledged, like... I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but good for them.
Even like Tyler to an extent.
Totally, yeah. I think that's a testament to like the beauty of strategy and like planning your 5 years and having a 5-year goal, as opposed to like...
Big time.
The now, like how can I get the most attention now? How can I get the most clout now? It's like, that's, you know, here's a testament of how you like really build up an artist legacy. Yeah. You know, won a fucking Grammy. Yeah. Like,
I feel like Tyler, when he was making Goblin and stuff, he knew.
I think so. That's the X factor. Certain people have that, some people don't. Like some people have the patience and the time of like wanting to build something, and other people just like want it now. Yeah. And like if you want it now, there's cool, you can have it. There's a lot of compromise that you're gonna make, and you're gonna look like a fool in the way of doing it in a lot of respects of like how you're gonna gain attention, and who knows how long that's gonna last. But you know what? That shit's gonna stay on the internet for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You know.
And I think, and like to that, I think that Tyler could have made Eagle 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have. He just like
he probably had
knew.
It 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know.
But he just knew like now like, and look at what that album is sort of for. That culture, it's like it's on the pedestal. It's like huge. The greatest thing ever. Yeah,
totally. I feel like I'm trying to learn that. I'm trying to learn the power of saying no. Yeah, because I was such like a yes man. I'd say yes to like every opportunity I'd get, because I thought like, you know, like every other career, like you got to start from the bottom, eat shit, move up.
Said yes to Parry Talks though.
Yeah, no, well, I wanted to do this. Like, you know,
it's different.
You know, this is
I think that, you know, like you've learned to say no, and you said yes to
like
Parry
certain
Talks,
like brands have approached me and shit, and I'm just like, why the fuck are you approaching me? Like I'm no one. Like
pelvis.
You know, no, I should love
no,
but you know, like certain brands and shit would be like, do this, and I'd be like, yeah, that's sick. Like, you know, I can be on their social media, and it's like, bro, I feel like a cornball doing that. Like, who the fuck am I to be on there? Like, people are probably like, who the fuck is this guy? So the power of saying no, of having that mystique of just being like, that's not right for you. Like, if your plan is to be here in this, you know, 5 years time, you got to say no to a lot of things now to make that the most impactful thing.
Big time. I reflect on that a lot. Like, I've got weird interview opportunities. Yeah. From like big dogs, and I'm like, this would work now, but like in terms of the vision and the direction for Parry Talks, like it doesn't make sense.
Totally. And it's like, even if you got those, like what is like, how quantifiable is the success of having that? Like,
a couple numbers,
you know? And it's like, then what do you do with those numbers? Where do you go from there? Do you then get someone not as big on next, and then the fucking hype drop? You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy.
We're in such a fickle age right now.
Big time.
You know, it's very, very hard to like exist in, I think most aspects of the world right now, because shit just fucking moves like that, and you got to be on top of it. And that's why you need to find your niche, I think.
Big time.
Yeah.
You just got to do something timeless, and you got to own it. I think ownership's so important right now.
Totally. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is gonna believe in you.
Exactly.
So.
Big time. Facts.
Yeah, exactly.
You listen to much like not early SoundCloud rap, like post, like when like the whole Miami thing was coming up, like early Ski Mask.
Yeah.
Early X.
I was
early.
like on that shit early, because the band I was in, we did a tour of the US in 2016, and one of the bands we were playing with, I forget their name. They were from Atascadero, which is like mid Northern California.
Yeah.
And one of the guys was like a producer for like all them.
Wow.
And the merch guy that they brought along was like friends with like GBC and like Peep and shit at the time. And he was the one that got me into like Peep, like just after he released Crybaby, and like got me into like XXXTentacion, Ski Mask, like Puya, Fat Nick.
Oh, I was about to say Puya, Fat Nick, G59.
Yeah. I was onto Denzel Curry before that because of Raider Clan. I was like familiar with Raider Clan.
Yes, I put Curry.
He's the best. Like
before them.
Oh yeah, he was way
before. And then he was like
even Puya as well, like Puya
and Fat Nick, yeah.
Ghostman as well, like different, like all from Florida, but like different sort of, you know. Well, but like I mean, like when you want to talk about that like specific 2016 sound of like X and
because I hear when I listen to Hearteyes, I hear that. I hear it. Not like I hear like no, like screamo, like Ski Mask stuff, but I hear like there's definitely that raw edge, and we talk about the raw edge a lot. We're like, we even said it, like there was such an urgency to that music. Yeah. Where it was like, I'm just gonna like record it now. I don't give a shit if the bass is clipping. Like, who cares?
100%.
We're gonna record like using our computer like mics and just like rip in and get it on SoundCloud straight away. Exactly. And I hear that in Hearteyes a lot. It's that ethic of like how they put things out, just being like, hey guys, I'm dropping a song tonight, blah blah blah. Just drop shit. Like that's what inspired me to do Hearteyes, of having that mentality of being like, I'm completely independent. I can drop shit whenever the fuck I want. And like I was very like, I didn't know how to take that music when I first heard it. Like when I first heard like Peep and like Horsehead and Wicked Phase and stuff, like I didn't know how to like take that music when I first heard it, coming from a completely banned thing. But it just grew on me. It's so infectious, all that music. And then watching the culture and like what they were doing in 2016, 2017, how they just evolved and became massive. Watching it from over here was like super inspiring, because it's like we don't have that here. There's no artist doing that here. So like I'm super like inspired by like that genre, because I was like, that's when I was kind of getting over the band stuff. And I was like, this is so new. It's so refreshing. It's so sick to see. Big time.
Because there was like earnesty in it. Like I feel like Young Lean, when Young Lean came out, like it was a joke. Yeah. It was like the first meme rap, like with Lil B and shit. But then when like, you know, Fat Nick, Puya, Denzel Curry before that, like when what they were all doing on SoundCloud, like even like Uno the Activist, when Cardi and Thousand Band Fawny were like, all the Atlanta dudes were coming up in 2016. Oh my God, yeah. Like that shit was earnest. Like they meant what they were saying, and like, you know, I'm more attracted to like that energy. Like I can sense that energy, and I'm attracted to that from an artist more than someone that's just making a fucking hook or a catchy song, you know. Dude,
you know what that era reminds me of? Like OG No Jumper.
Like,
OG No Jumper is like it like inspired so much of this.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, or just like it was so crazy. It's like I remember like the Ian Connor interview. Like,
classic shit. There was the funniest. Those interviews were so funny. Like back when it was like at the back of that black shop, and like everyone was just high and just talking over one another. And he used to get like the porn stars and shit on. That was like. He had, like,
we used to have like Getter on it. Remember Getter and
Nicoletti? Like when you used to have them, like, you know, that was funny. That was like, and I think having that, it was so symbiotic, because it was like there was that, and then there was like the SoundCloud thing, and then
they came together.
It was like the perfect storm for like shooting these artists up, because I think if there was only the SoundCloud thing and nothing like No Jumper or like those types of podcasts, those artists wouldn't have had.
What was the other one? The other podcast that was through Warehouse Parties in LA. Oh, they said like this.
Ham on Everything.
Yeah. Because they had a podcast as well. That was like a big part
of it.
That was
sick. better produced podcast. Like,
but like there was I take a lot of the No Jumper influence to this. It's like the early No Jump interviews are so etched, but like everyone across them, it's like look at the like state of that camera and like this and like.
You got to start somewhere. I mean, look where No Jumper is now, multi-million-dollar media company.
It's crazy. Shit's crazy.
You know, but no, that 2016 era SoundCloud, man, like makes me feel sad because like that was like that was the last time I felt fucking happiness. Like no joke, like I'd fucking wake up and like
refresh
Uno,
SoundCloud,
1000 Man Fawny, Uno, and fucking D Savage would all be on a track, and I'd be like, this is sick. It's crazy. It'd go for like 1 minute 40. Bass just going
it's
like
it's crazy how much it changed pop music that era.
So exciting. It was such an exciting time. Like
what's really sick now? I don't know if you're into it. It's not like it doesn't have the commercial viability that stuff had.
Yeah.
But like all these underground rappers from LA and stuff, like all the skaters, like Sage and like Navy Blue, and like sort of this new generation under Earl Sweatshirt. Mike, Medhane, all those guys. The crazy like that DIY feel. They're just ripping jazz beats. I feel just like doing spoken word over them. It's so sick.
I feel like it's going more in that. We're going back now to the whole like boom bap. Lyrical shit now, and that's happening more in the underground. There's this artist you should check out if you haven't, called Kenny Mason from Atlanta, and he mixes a lot of like lo-fi boom bap stuff, but then also has like indie songs as well.
Huge.
And like metal songs and shit like that, and he's like I think probably 17, 18, but a lot of there's another guy called I think Red Veil. There's another artist. Like a lot of them are doing that like more lyrical shit and more thought out, like what I would call anti-pop, and like anti-R&B sort of shit, which is also exciting,
Love it.
Shit,
I reckon we just cracked an hour.
Hell yeah. King of tangents, what did I tell ya?
Dude, your publicist is gonna be mad.
I know, she's gonna be like, fuck, he's still there?
No, fuck, didn't talk about the music. No, well, I think
everything, here's the thing, everything about what we spoke about is the music. That is what
exactly
makes me do what I do. Like, fuck the songs. Like, I don't care. I don't want to talk about the songs. Like, I already talk about the songs in the music. I go listen to the music. Like, I want to talk about like the things that like inspire me, and like 2016 SoundCloud rap and metal and punk and shit like that. Like, that is what is the purpose for why I do a lot of stuff that I do. Beautiful.
Yeah. So take that, publicist. Nah.
Shout
They're
out.
the best.
Shout out 23. They're the best. Shout
actually.
Out Melody, thank you.
Actually, probably. They're probably the best.
Cool as hell. Super chill.
Because, like, we get shit tons of emails.
Yeah.
We get shit tons of emails at Parry Talks, bro. It's hard to... But then, if Maya hits me up...
Yeah, my publicist is a beast. Shout out, Maya.
She's a beast.
She's a beast.
Weapon DJ as well.
Yeah, crazy.
Parry Talks. Oh, yeah, last question. Ask everyone this.
Go.
You have to neck nominate, like, another guest.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon? Can be from around the world. Who do you reckon needs their story told? Who's good? Can be from any facet of the world. Who should I have on Parry Talks? Neck nom.
I'm trying to think Sydney centric, just cause. Fuck, man. I'll probably have to say Darcy Bayliss. He's a good friend of mine. Originally from Melbourne, lives in Berlin now.
Sick.
And he was on the whole SoundCloud emo rap stuff before me or like anyone. Like he's done some crazy collaborations. Like he's just did a collab EP with Wicker Phase, and he's produced for like a bunch of those guys. He's awesome. Like I've worked on some stuff with him, and it's just so easy to work with him. And he has a lot of shit to say. Like if you haven't listened to it, listen to his album Housebreaking. Crazy emotional record. I wouldn't say similar to mine, but it goes to like indie, more emo rap, and a lot heavy electronic, like breakbeat sort of stuff. He mixes like breakbeat with emo rap, which I think like when I heard it, I was just like, this is the future. Like no one's doing this.
I love breaks as well.
So it's sick. That's probably him. He has a lot to say. You could probably Zoom call him from Berlin, but I'm trying to think of someone here though, like a young artist. Probably like OGM. There's like a crew of kids from West Sydney. One of them lives in Melbourne, but they're called OGM. You gotta listen to the song Tidal. They're banging. Like these kids are crazy. They're fucking. One of them, Carlito, is like this crazy like melodic sounds like Roy Woods, and the other two are just gun rappers.
Sick.
So I think try reach out to OGM.
I got a couple more mics.
Yeah, get to them through Saudi Systems.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, easy. They're friends with them. You should have Saudi Systems on as well.
Big move,
bro, shout out Saudi Systems.
They had the best show on Nomad as well.
Bro, they're my boys. I fuck with them heavily. You should get Saudi Systems actually. Saudi Systems is who you need.
That's it. Parry Talks. Thanks for listening.
You know the vibes.
Clocked an hour. Yeah, fuck yeah. We did it.
Let's go. Stay independent, kids.
Yeah.
You can do this on your own.